Let the record show
You got it.
that Leah Spiegel, Tony Smith, and Steve Clements are present. Agenda approval, nothing, no changes,
I didn't see it.
nothing new stuff on, okay.
Well, other than I forgot to update the, no, I did update the date. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
looks good.
Whew, I thought
Yep.
I forgot.
Minutes approval, and we have a chance to look them over.
So give me a motion second for the agenda, please.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Motion to approve, did you already look at the minutes?
Yes, I'm just scanning them now.
Second.
Oh,
Yes,
Steve's waiting.
yep,
Okay.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye, we approve the minutes as presented. No public comment, because unless there's somebody online that wants to have anything, or somebody shows up. I wonder if people don't even know that they can come to these things.
Probably for the most part.
We did have some person one time.
One
Yeah.
time we had a person
Mhm.
come to a meeting.
And it's always in the newspaper, I do that diligently,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh, yeah.
online, so, yeah.
Okay. Old business, Arbor Day Field Day.
Where's Robert tonight?
I don't know, I sent him the text, but I didn't hear back from him. I thought it went really well. I got
Yeah.
some good feedback from the teachers, and
Yeah.
I really appreciated all your guys' help, so.
I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little kids will do that.
Yeah,
too.
right. Plus it's like that.
Yeah, 12 groups
Mm-hmm.
of 20 students
Yeah,
at least.
what was it, 4 hours or something?
And it was just like pop,
Yeah.
pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop, pop. Yeah.
The only blip was, what's her name disappeared,
Oh, for a while, yeah, Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they went to get something to eat or something.
and she came back, she's like, whoa, why is he taking my group? And I'm like, well, you started 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
This is what we have scheduled.
Like, we're on it.
Yeah. No, it turned out great.
Yeah.
Kids were really well behaved.
For the most
Um,
Yeah.
For the most part.
we didn't lose any binoculars, not that I'm aware of.
Nope.
The morning was tough on you guys were kind of sedentary, and so we were looking for birds like the
Oh,
morning.
yeah,
We didn't.
Didn't see
we got
any.
robins,
right.
right? and then for the
That's
afternoon group, we had 2 dippers, American dippers at the bridge, and they were coming and going.
Cool.
And so as soon as the kids walked up and they would come in, as soon as they saw them, they sat down and they got quiet and they were
Cool.
watching. And then not 150 feet downriver, there was a downy woodpecker excavating a hole in a tree, and it was like they were clockwork. So they'd come and see the dipper, and then they'd see the downy woodpecker, and I'd say, oh God, I wish I could stage this.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Yeah,
Yeah, birds are flighty.
yeah,
yes.
they're flighty. Yep. Okay. Anything else about field day?
Yeah,
And at our station, they didn't fight about who's gonna do this or that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Good, I
Yeah.
was a little concerned about that,
Yeah,
so,
seemed fun.
Yeah.
good. Well, so,
We
always
found a place
appreciate
to,
feedback and suggestions.
something to do with all those.
Birdhouses?
Birdhouses?
I've sent a few out to the schools,
Ah,
and then I had contacted, Laura to let her know if their group, wanted any. But there's still a lot of birdhouses left.
And some are going up to Morgan Lake.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
I put up 2 at the fairground pond,
nice.
and I gave 1 to a friend for her yard, and I have 1 left that I think I'm gonna just take over and put at the fairgrounds there.
You could contact Megan Ballard and see if she wants any for up at Pete's Pond.
Ballard?
Ballard, yeah. I'll have her.
Morgan Lake would be great,
Yeah, that's a good, that's a
particularly
good
if you
place.
can get them along on fence posts along the edge of the meadows.
Yeah, the fence posts are great.
Yeah.
Then I have to talk to property owners though.
Oh.
If it's on your side.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, they get. How could they not? Oh, the one
It's
guy.
always good to ask.
There's the one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a neighboring property though. The 2 that do are pretty great.
Yeah, he just wants to complain.
teachers have any constructive
Um,
comments?
the comments that I got back were thank you, it was really well organized, so that was pretty much the feedback I got back.
So nothing about what we could do better or?
No, cause I always put that out
Yeah.
there, I always send out a thank you for coming, appreciate any feedback for future events.
Yeah, the teachers seemed to be, I mean, they were almost, there was a few of them that were into it as much as the kids were.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's always nice
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
willing to help out. That, let me just check and see, that might have been Robert. Yep, he won't be here, so we're okay.
Anything else?
That's all, I just kinda wanted to make sure you guys, if you had any that you wanted to pass on.
Well, the thing about Arbor Day, is that every year we have a different theme.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, birds may not happen again
Right.
Right,
for a while.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it wasn't, there can't be more stuff to do.
yeah, it was a fun theme, I enjoyed it.
Okay, spring tree planting, volunteers.
Does that mean you had problems with volunteers?
We were kinda,
slim.
we were slim. Fortunately, I had the group from Tech, and there was 5 of us.
I didn't see 'em.
Yeah, that's right. And Tony had
good.
company, but she came anyway, so she and Robert were there to, help lead groups. And then we had, a couple of folks who've come before, I can't remember his name, he used to work for the Forest Service, I think. Anyway, so he, was able to, and then I had a couple middle school kids who just showed up because it was a volunteer opportunity.
Nice.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, it would have been, pretty tough if the Tech folks hadn't
Yeah.
showed up. And I had called them, because actually Chris had said, hey, they're looking for something to do on Saturday, could you use help? And I said, absolutely, always. And so I called her and told her, meet at 9 at the parks. And they've been spreading mulch in the parks, I just assumed they'd know where to come. But 9 o'clock
Oh,
comes
you
and
know
9 o'clock
where.
goes, and they're not here, and I'm like, where are
Ready to go
they?
plant.
And we're ready to go, and so I texted Chris and said, hey, could you send me her number? Well, were out in the parking lot. waiting.
Right.
So anyway, but it worked out, and
Yeah.
they came and planted all the trees that were at the ridge, and
Oh, yeah.
so.
Wow.
So you got everything in the ground?
Good.
Yes, we
Wow.
did, and we were done
Wow.
before noon.
Wow.
And no owners came out at the
Oh.
ridge.
Nobody griped at the ridge, so.
Okay.
And there
Well,
wasn't a 40 or however many it was? No, 20.
What's that?
25.
Just 25.
25, yeah.
Yeah, the 40 that I had
Yeah,
scheduled
that
were
was-
some other things
Yeah.
that were going in. The other thing that I just wanted to mention briefly is we did, partner with EOU on their Arbor Day. So they bought 9 trees, to put in on 12th Street by those apartments.
No?
So,
12th Street. Oh.
yeah, and so if you drive by there, you'll see those, I think most.
Down towards the park. Down,
Yes,
yeah,
just
right.
past the parking
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
But on the EOU
Yeah.
drive.
No, it's on right
Across the
off 12th
street, yeah.
by those apartment buildings.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they have a new grounds person there, Tony Diacetis. And, so hopefully we'll be able to work with her in the future on EOU stuff, since we don't have a local nursery anymore. They'll hoping to piggyback with our tree
Yeah.
orders.
So why is EOU planting on 12th Street?
It's their property.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have
They have kind of a lot.
yeah,
of
like
property.
adults, family housing type of thing. And then individual students can.
Oh, it's like
can
married
rent.
student housing kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
On 12th?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Opposite side of the street, on the park side.
On
Yeah.
the park side.
On the park
Right.
side.
It's an option for students who don't wanna live in the dormitories.
Yeah.
Because they own the
Excuse me.
community garden space too,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Residence halls,
Okay. Yeah.
resident halls.
And so, so the reason I put /volunteers in there is because I need to up my game on volunteers. The last few plantings we
Yeah.
had have been kind of slim, and I'm not sure what else to do. I put it out to all the groups I can think of.
I told
Yeah.
a whole bunch of kids that need volunteer
Yep.
stuff and
Yep.
nobody showed up.
So, you know, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes, you know,
Right.
things go up and down. But if you come up with any suggestions on that, Stu had a suggestion to put it out on the Parks and Rec, at message tree, it goes to a phone text or text tree.
Yeah, we have that, we have email and text, yeah.
Yeah,
We've got
both, that's right,
Mm.
the.
more
Parks-
than 1,000 people or
Oh, the
4,000.
people that have signed up for,
Yeah,
yeah.
all of our program people,
Yeah,
good idea.
it is a good
What's that
idea.
called, a listserv?
Phone
Contact list, probably.
So anyway, I need to do that before we have our next one. And I'm still poking trees in the ground, with folks, since the weather's been
Yeah,
pleasant.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
All right? Anything else?
You guys have any other ideas about volunteers shaking the trees?
Does the juvenile department get notified yet?
yeah, they always get notified, yeah. Although I probably should give them a call, cause it's been a while since I've talked to anybody in person there, and I know they kind of rotate through.
So the only
Staff.
thought I have is, so letting people know that there's a volunteer opportunity is one thing. Following up, identify 2 or 3 groups and say, hey,
It's
call them
tomorrow.
and say, can you commit?
Right.
I need 2 people from your group.
yeah.
Rather than just hoping that somebody's gonna show. It's more work for you, Teresa, to do that, but it seems like otherwise you're gonna be stuck, if you don't have that. I'd much rather, even if you can get 3 or 4 groups and they say, yeah, we're gonna send 2 people and one bag's out, then, would not have been good. I think, and I don't remember how you do this. I mean, all of us, when we go, we know, dig the hole, certain depth, certain size.
She does a training every
Okay,
time.
okay.
Yeah.
But it seems like you gotta have somebody that has some experience.
Yeah, and that's,
Well, and that's why usually one of us is
Yes.
like the crew leader.
Yeah. and it worked out okay this time because, Tony and Robert were there,
Mhm.
and I was there, and like I said, Mike, who's been to several tree plantings, he took a couple of folks. And then, so the only group who didn't really have a leader was the tech group, because they showed up late.
Mm.
And so I ran through it real quickly with her, and then I gave her my sheet that said, this
Mhm.
is how you do it. And, they looked okay when I checked on them, so.
Yeah.
It's something that Chris can help with too, because of the master plan with the youth programs, right? So let's talk about that offline.
Oh, yeah.
How we can roll him into that portion
Yeah.
that Steve suggested,
Right, that's a
because
good
that
idea.
seems like it would work.
It's like you've gotta lock people in rather than
Parks, yeah.
ask and pray.
And
He's
then,
like the recreation
I
guy,
did-
right? So then
yeah.
all the program stuff could.
The high school has, I don't know if high school kids, I don't know if this would bear fruit, but the, what are they called, the honors? I forget who they are.
National Honor Society, yeah.
Yeah, they have to do some things.
They
and,
do,
and
yeah.
Desjardins has some things that he has them do all the time, but if we could, I mean, I could maybe talk to him to see if he'd be willing to,
My kid's a member right now, so I can.
Well, and then you gave me a contact for the high school, and
Yeah.
is she one of the
She's
counselors?
a secretary type
Secretary
person,
person,
so.
okay.
Like with
Cause I know
athletics.
when my kids were in school, people would call up the high school and say, hey, I need somebody to come clean my garage, I need somebody to rake leaves. And they had a list of kids, cause my kids were on it,
yeah,
cause they wanted
right,
to make money,
right,
Well, the high
right.
school even has that volunteer day for seniors
Right.
or whatever.
Right, day of service, right.
Yeah, but that's just a day, but those guys, those kids do it, I think it's mostly in the spring, but I was thinking maybe they would even do it in the fall for our fall
Yeah,
planting.
that's a good idea.
So I'll try to talk to DJ.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Tree care workshop,
So I wanted to give you an update on that. You know, we talked with Brittany from ODF, and she had kind of put it on the back burner until they got more help. Well, they have more, and they are ready to roll. So Jennifer Killian and with, I can't remember her last name. Anyway, they're two of the new community assistance foresters that have been hired, and they are gung-ho to do this tree care workshop. The kicker is they want to do it in Pendleton. They were just recently in Pendleton because Pendleton received the Oregon Tree City of the Year award, and they got a big chunk of change from the IRA grant, so they kind of have a lot going on right now. And it's one of PNWISA's goals is to do more outreach on the east side. So it really dovetails in really nicely. We're kind of ticking their boxes for them. It's just that it won't be here. And I know you guys had kind of hoped to have one here in the LeGrand area. But the beauty of this one is that ODF will coordinate it and PNWISA will advertise it and do the CEUs. So it's
we
pretty
don't
much.
have to do anything.
We don't have to do anything except say, we have a great idea. So, anyway, I just wanted to let you know, it's gonna also dovetail with our September OCT board meeting, which we had planned on having in Pendleton, just for those same reasons, because the goal of OCT is to help urban forestry programs in various communities, and so we were gonna be there anyway. So the workshop will be on Thursday, September.
Oh, it's scheduled already.
Yeah.
My goodness.
September 19th, and then our OCT board meeting, which is also in Pendleton, will be the next day on Friday. So, but I'll make sure you guys get more information about that as it gets going.
So you'll be, in charge of getting the word out here?
I will be probably doing my little part. PNWISA has a lot more reach, and ODF has a lot more reach than I do. I mean, they have contact with all the Tree City USAs, all the city tree boards, you know, so they'll be the ones doing a great deal of putting the word out. I will probably be focusing on putting the word out to like our local tree services, you know, maybe people that they don't have contacts for. So if you guys have any, you know, ideas on that front. The tricky part is that a lot of our tree services aren't certified, so the CEU carrot, you know, doesn't really, I mean, we do have several. We have
we do.
4, I think 4 or 5 that will be interested in getting CEUs.
So, is it, I would think that this, whatever it is that's gonna be presented at the workshop would be stuff that those tree care people, I mean, so who's the
So
target?
the target audience is municipal staff, tree services, anybody who does tree care work. So they're gonna be targeting public works departments, parks and rec departments,
Right,
tree boards, because even if you
Yeah,
can't
okay.
get the actual tree services to the table, if you do this kind of education and
Yeah.
outreach so that the public knows, oh, wait a minute,
yeah,
that doesn't look right,
yeah.
you know, it's a step in the right direction anyway. So that's the target, because ODF, they have to have, you know, they have to meet their requirement for outreach, you know, and so they are required by their mandate to provide
Right.
so much
Right.
help to municipalities.
So, is there gonna be, so it seems like to be like a more of a Northeast Oregon, you know, we would wanna be, try to get folks in from, I don't know if there is anybody in places like Richland Halfway, but, you know, from other places.
Right.
So I would hope, I don't know about if ODF would structure it such that they'd have time to get there if it's just one day like that, you know, so
Right.
it starts late enough so folks from Baker
City.
can get
right,
there.
Right,
And maybe, is it like gonna have a, I don't know, if there's like a fee?
well, yeah, there will be a fee, and so the way that it looks like they're setting it up right now, it'll be like about a 2-hour presentation. It will include maybe a lunch as part of the registration fee, so it's gonna be a little bit later in the morning to give people time to drive there. Yeah, because even if you're driving from Baker City, that's what, like a 2-hour drive,
Yeah.
so if they
Yeah.
didn't start till 10, that's a doable
Right.
time
Yeah.
for people
Right.
to get up and get there. Ontario would be a
Right.
bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless they wanted to come in at
Plus,
30.
it's an hour later,
Right,
Oh, right,
right.
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
so they'd have to do the time change, right?
Yeah, and so I can ask
And
Jennifer,
save some time coming.
Yes, that actually would save some time for them.
and I can ask her for more details, you know, on what they're planning for outreach.
And I assume it's not just people in Oregon. So because you're close to Walla Walla
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
and
Right.
Hermiston, and Tri-Cities
Yeah.
and that type of thing, so
yeah,
there might be people from those areas too that were
right,
interested.
yeah, cause PNWISA is Oregon, Washington, Alaska.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
PWIS.
PNW, Pacific Northwest International Society.
oh, but
of
not
Horticulture.
Idaho.
Idaho.
Be hard to forget to get,
I think Idaho is in PNWISA. I'm trying to
Good.
remember where the cutoff is.
Right.
I think Idaho is in our
That's good.
region. Cause I know I've been to workshops in Boise.
Yeah, oh, that's right, yeah.
Pretty hard to
Well,
get
that's
anybody
good.
from Alaska to come.
Yeah,
yeah,
No, yeah.
well, that's why they have stuff in British Columbia.
So they're thinking it'll just be 2 hours.
That's kinda what they're thinking, yeah.
Let's see how that
So-
goes.
Yeah, and so that doesn't mean that we can't do, you know, our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But
I
they-
guess I was thinking that a workshop would be more of, more general interest. Wouldn't
Or more
necess-
like homeowner.
Yeah, that it
And
wouldn't
we could certainly
necessarily
do that.
be for tree care professionals, and I think, not that I don't think it's a good idea, but when we were talking about initially, I thought, okay, this is for somebody that wants to know generally about tree care. I don't know how big that audience is,
Mhm.
but,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well,
half the
that
trees
would
in the
really
Grand
be
are
that
not
one.
on the right of way.
If that would work, if, you know, if this one focuses more on tree workers or people responsible for trees, then we'd certainly be free to
Do
do a,
something
you know,
else.
a more
Mm-hmm.
localized one.
Yeah,
I wouldn't wanna let that
maybe we can
that
see.
opportunity go. I mean, if ODF is willing to, you know, put some money towards that or provide some trainers, that would, I don't wanna interfere with this thing in September, but. it
Yeah,
might
but
be-
maybe we can see how that goes.
Right.
What-
Right, yeah, see if they get a decent turnout.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I had on
All
that.
right.
Huh, wow.
New business,
Look at you, man, huh?
spring beautification awards,
So I sent out an email, I didn't
Saw.
get any.
I responded.
Yep, I got your response, and I was kinda bummed, because I did a Google form and I put it on the Facebook page, cause I thought this will make it so easy for people. They could just go to the form, fill it out, check my responses,
Nothing.
nothing,
No.
nothing. So I was a little bummed, but I'll
Yeah.
keep doing it, I'll keep doing it. So, the ones that I got, one was a one who had actually called last year and wanted to put their home in, and, it was past the deadline. And then, and the other two were other people that just called and said, hey, saw it in the paper, so.
How do we, remind me, how often do we do this? Cause I remember.
Spring, summer, fall.
Okay, so I remember last year we had a woman in the trailer
Yeah.
park
Mhm.
that was not, and did we came to some type of decision on that, didn't we? That we said we wouldn't exclude people like that?
As long as it doesn't say no public access.
Right,
So,
right.
so
And we
even
can,
though it's not technically a public street, if it isn't posted like keep out,
yeah,
then,
okay.
But anyway, the other thing is the only residential nomination I got is one who's actually received it before, but I looked back and it's been like 6 years, so.
So you only got one residential.
So when I rated mine, I had my own criteria. And I did that without even thinking that maybe there's already a set of criteria for picking these.
Yeah, we have in the beautification awards description, it talks about the different things that we
Okay.
can look for.
Yeah, it's
I think I got a copy, maybe right here.
You know, I looked,
landscaping that integrates color, texture, seasonal. It's pretty broad.
Okay.
Seasonal diversity and appropriate use of hardscape and space.
okay.
Promotes resource conservation, wildlife habitat, or food production, or owners that have overcome special circumstances.
Okay.
Those are the residential ones that I've got on my thing, which is probably old.
And I think they're all still pretty.
And that's
good.
kind of the
pretty
way,
general and
I mean, I that's sort of what I did, is I looked at the 3 sites and, you know, I'm not a real fan of green lawns.
Mhm.
So if you had a lot of green lawn but the yard looked nice, I was probably less inclined to vote for that. And if you had a yard that was really diverse and that was attractive and not, you know,
Had
that
some
maybe
trees.
had some trees and
Right.
had,
trees.
you know, was sensitive to water use and that kind of thing. So
Oh.
anyway, I
The
put
food production, like actual gardens are
Mhm.
Yeah.
acceptable for.
Yeah, there was somebody who used to have like squash and stuff out in her
Mhm. Yep, you see
on
them
the
around.
Yeah,
the
Bill-
right of way thing.
yeah, Bill, what was
Which is
his
kinda
name?
cool.
Bill Whitaker.
Yep, those
Up on
guys.
6th, he had those plots
Yeah.
along the road in the planting strip
Right.
of all places.
Yeah.
But they were really nice. I mean, he just had a pretty good garden there, you know.
Yeah, there's several around town
Yeah.
that have those.
Okay, so you're gonna make a choice after we vote.
What I do is when you guys send in your choices, number 1 is like 3 points, number 2 is 2 points, number 1 is 1 point, it's just a matrix.
Oh, you mean it's ranked choice voting?
Mhm.
Oh, I like that. I wish we'd had that for county commissioners.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might have avoided having to have a runoff,
Mhm.
right? All right, anything else about beautification
We
awards?
still have, it's this week, right? I think
Yes.
that's what the
Yeah,
paper said,
if you
yeah.
could let me know this week, that'd be awesome. What I like to do is I like to get it done before the city council meeting,
Oh,
which is the
right.
first Wednesday in June, so that they can sign the
Yeah.
certificates.
Okay, staff reports, urban forester.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I wanted to add something to the agenda and I
Okay.
forgot, so that was my bad.
Why don't you do
I'm
that?
sorry, we had agenda approval
That's
already.
I know.
So do it on
Whatever
your,
you can do.
so do it
I'll
on
do
your
it under
staff
staff
report.
report. So under staff report, I just wanted to let you know that we have done a conditional offer of employment for a summer urban forestry person.
Okay,
So, and I assume he will be accepting, he seemed like he was
okay.
interested in doing
Cool.
the job.
High school student or?
No, middle school teacher,
Oh,
so looking for a summer job.
Oh, so,
nice.
yeah, and that reminds me that, so we're still waiting to hear about the criteria for a grant for,
Yeah, I check the ODF website periodically and
Yeah.
so far I haven't seen anything.
Mhm.
That's too
But we
bad.
have a
That is too
meeting,
bad.
at the end of this month, we have an OCT board meeting in June,
Ah,
in Eugene,
and there'll be an update.
and there'll be an update.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
anything else?
Under staff report, I think we kinda covered it, we talked
Yeah.
about field day and stringing
Yeah.
landing, and, yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
pretty
didn't
much all.
see her. Did you mail that out?
I did, it was
Okay.
late, I did, I think,
Okay.
didn't
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, toothless one, do
I
you know?
can't think of anything.
Oh, something popped into my head, Stu, that I thought you might wanna share, and now it's popped back out again.
Well, we did budget,
Doesn't matter.
and there were no significant changes by the budget committee.
Yeah.
That does not mean that the city council won't take something up.
Right.
It's very possible that, Mary Ann's motion to make some significant
Deficit
cuts,
spending.
may come back, because the council can reduce the budget, it's limited as to how much it can increase things. So I think it's pertinent for you and I to make sure that we're there on the 5th
Right.
when the council deliberates, but they made no reductions in community forest or Parks and Rec or anything at this point. The budget went through just fine.
Good.
Pending business, Safeway trees, follow-up.
We don't talk about pending business, it's just there to remind us,
Placeholder.
Okay,
unless there's an update, which then it would be moved to old business. But
Okay,
we don't have
gotcha.
any for those things.
okay.
That's why tree care workshop got moved up to old business, it used to be. in
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Information, I see a stick on the table.
I brought a stick on the table.
Got back there.
So, I wanted to talk about this one, cause I thought it was pretty timely. So this happens to be a Acer truncatum platanoides cross,
Oh.
which is a Shantung Norway maple cross. But what I wanted to talk about was first the tip dieback that you're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the leaves, if you can see those there. And the homeowner called me and they said, I think my tree has a fungus and I need to know what I can treat it with. And so when I went to look at it, so when you go to look at trees, it's really important to look at the surroundings. And she did tell me that the tree had spider mites last summer, and so they gave it a systemic, and she said they'd also fertilized it. So it's good to get that background information.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't there when I went to look at the tree, but her husband was there. And, tip dieback can be a sign of verticillum, which is a biological infection. You get that dieback from the top down. It doesn't typically cause this deformity in the leaves. And what that is really symptomatic of is herbicide damage.
Oh.
And they have an
Mhm.
absolutely
Perfect lawn.
perfect lawn.
Oh.
And so I asked him, I said, have you been using weed and feed? And he said, yes. And I
Yeah.
said, well, pretty sure that's what's wrong with this tree.
Wow.
This was the weed and feed from,
Yeah.
the last couple of years. This is the weed and feed from this year.
Coming up through the roots.
Coming
Yeah,
up
it's
through the
yeah,
roots.
because it's a broadleaf killer.
It's a bright, yeah.
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 So,
If that makes sense.
And when you think about trees, you gotta remember that visual of wine glass on the plate. Here's your tree, the wine glass, the roots are shallow and wide.
Yeah, and they're
Under
soaking up
all of the
everything on that lawn.
Yeah.
I bet he felt a little chagrin to that.
Well, I always hate, I hate to do that, but
Sometimes they have a hard time believing it.
he was pretty darn receptive. He goes, oh, that makes sense. But he was really, I shouldn't say this, he was a young guy.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes us
Yeah.
old people get set in our ways and we don't wanna listen.
So is there anything you can do?
There
No,
is,
once it's
about
dead.
all you can do is flush,
Yeah.
Lots of
just
water.
Lots of
flush,
water.
which the trees are getting plenty of water. But anyway, the other thing I checked for, I was pretty sure there probably wasn't any verticillum, but, if you do get verticillum, sometimes you can see this brown staining, because what happens is it clogs up the vascular system, and that's what causes this tip death. And you'll see this brown staining in the wood, but there's none there. And that's not definitive, you don't always see the brown staining, but it's a pretty good sign. But to me, it looks like weed and feed.
Yeah.
Wow.
How big
I
was
would-
the tree?
What's
How
that?
big was the tree?
Probably 4-inch diameter, maybe
Oh.
15 feet tall,
Wow. So the tip dieback is from last year.
or the last couple
2
of
years,
years.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just took that long for
Mhm.
it to kill that.
Yeah, it takes, you know, cause trees have a lot of reserve, but what you
Especially if
can
it's that big.
Yeah.
But you can see that these new.
Yeah, they
young
almost look
leaves,
like they've been
Burnt.
hit with something.
Stunted.
So what's the prognosis if they
Well, I said, stop using weed and feed, your lawn is beautiful, you could just spot spray
yeah,
from here on out, and then just, you know, water the tree to flush it through the system.
and so will
And
it,
it should come out of it, because, you know, it was only the tips of the tree.
Right.
I've seen trees where
Yeah.
3/4 of the canopy's dead, and it's,
Whoa.
Yeah.
I saw something, where
Yeah.
did I see that? I saw a lot of dieback in a tree. And I can't remember where it was. It was if I see it again, I'll,
you know, and the thing with the symptoms of trees, a lot of symptoms look exactly the same. Like this could be winter kill,
Right.
could be, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
moisture stress, it causes tip death,
Yeah.
so.
well, remember I had you come and look at the ash in front of my house?
Mhm.
And it was that really hot summer.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it scalded
Yeah.
one side of the tree and I had a bunch of branches die on it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of trees suffered.
Yeah.
It did, and you know, and even
Uphill
if you're
whole
watering
trees.
your trees, that heat dome,
Yeah.
they just cannot
Yeah.
transpire
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was harsh on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was good forensic
Yeah,
investigation.
that's cool. And especially maybe you said this, if
Yeah.
they're kind of misshapen like that,
That's
Yeah,
that's
you know, the thing, I mean, and that's, I think what I like is that asking questions about what they do, what are they doing in their yard?
yeah.
You know, and I would have never guessed that, I mean, but now that you say it, yeah, that's what happens when I hit the weeds in my yard with
yeah.
Roundup, you know?
Those
Um,
perfect yards are always like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
chemicals, yeah.
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 Yeah, well, and I just wanted to mention briefly too about the spider mites, because the thing about spider mites is most systemics that you put on trees are insecticides, and so that won't do anything about spider mites. So if you do have spider mites and you wanna treat, which I don't advise, because spider mites are mostly just cosmetic.
Yeah.
And when you kill all the good bugs, the spider mites just
Go
get that
worse.
much worse.
Yeah,
But if your tree is really being badly, you know, affected, you can use a systemic, but it has to be a miticide, which is completely different from,
an insecticide.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you're way better off not using any if you can help it, because the good bugs, if you just give them a chance, they'll.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner comments? Tony? Volunteer hours, what is that?
I got all your volunteer hours from Arbor Day and spring tree planting.
Okay,
So unless you guys had anything else, I put extra hours in for you for
Bugs
coordinating
stuff.
birdhouses and
Yep.
getting volunteers.
Yep.
So,
I have a comment just to say that, over the last couple of weeks, I think there was some guy out at, the Benton Street Park, and he was pruning
Morgan.
those trees. He did a great
he does a
job.
great
If you gotta, these are flowering plum or something.
The crab apples on
Yes.
one side,
Right,
and he did a really nice job. He did all the ones in the park, he was raising them for the mowers and then cleaning up some storm damage that we had.
right.
And then he pruned all the crab apples along the street. And then he, for a very little bit of money, he came in and tried to correct the mess that the OTEC contractor had made on the
Yeah,
maples.
yeah.
And he did, and you know, and I said, let's just do a little minimal here, you know, we'll come back in a couple years and hit it again, and so, yeah. he-
Yeah, the OTEC people came with,
Yeah.
wah,
Yeah, like they do.
just, you know, it's like,
Well, and you know, the thing is, I met them on site.
yeah.
And we talked about what needed to be done, and the first 3 trees, they did a decent job, but then, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
You weren't there
So
anymore.
it took too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But,
who was that? Just
Morgan Bloyd, he's one of our newest
oh,
tree, and he's a
there's-
certified arborist.
yeah, he comes together, he's got an old beat up truck, and you know, nothing's labeled, and
yeah.
it's kind of a hippie looking guy,
So
he's got
just a
long
single
hair.
for person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
business,
and he just took his time and
Nice.
and that was, I don't know if he's done any more work in the city, but the one, the
Mhm.
Benton Street Park, the apple trees particularly, I mean, they look really good. I walked by, I'm like, wow, this is like art, right? I mean, because it is that way. I mean, you gotta know what
Oh,
they're gonna
man,
do,
yeah.
but you have to know also what the impact's gonna be.
Right.
The only other question I had is for Stu. Did you know the porta potty got burned?
What?
Somebody, there was at Benton Street Park, I don't know how they did it, but I looked out there and it was melted
Melted?
to the ground.
Oh my god. Like a,
Man.
oh.
I mean, like, just, they must have thrown some type of
They must have put
accelerant
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 inside
on
there.
it, yeah.
It
Because,
melted good.
and it was in broad daylight.
Seriously?
Seriously, it was daylight. I mean, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
I should have called you because we were trying to figure out, because
I didn't see anything.
Well, it was there Saturday when the soccer was there, and it was not there Sunday. It
Yeah.
was melting, so
Yeah,
we just assumed it was Saturday night.
no, it happened during the day, and
Did you see
Jeez.
smoke or anything, or
I didn't see
notice it?
anything. I just all of a sudden, because it's in front of my house, and you
Yeah.
know, hardly look out that way
Yeah.
except when the park is full.
Yeah.
And well, I just heard the sirens, and
Yeah.
the truck pulls up, and I'm like, I thought it was just a pile of leaves and something,
Right.
because it didn't look like a porta potty. And then I walked by later and went, oh my god, I mean, melted to the ground. I'm thinking, you asshole.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
So did it have to get put out? Or
It
was
did. Well, they did. It was by the time they got there, it was pretty well a heap.
Right.
But they must have put some water on it just to kind of get it
Cool it down.
safe.
It's right next to a tree. I mean,
Yeah.
Right,
you don't have
right,
to,
you
like-
don't, yeah, oh.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
said, there were postings and responses on the Facebook North Side of LeGrand Neighborhood Watch.
Okay.
And it might not be a bad thing to get on there and say, hey, did anybody see anything about this?
Okay.
So if they're looking to find
Cost me a
some,
few $100. So yeah, that'd be good. Somebody else wanted to pay for that.
I
So
didn't
this
think
was-
you did the porta potties. That, the parks
Well,
does do that one.
It's yes for that time period because
Okay.
soccer was going on.
Mm.
Now Little League's got one there.
Okay.
So if somebody burns it out, it'll be their bill. But
yeah,
yeah, it was our bill.
Okay.
So this is a new thing for kids to do, so you need to watch all the other parks.
So I don't
I hope not.
think so.
I hope not.
Maybe it's just a one. I don't know. In my previous job doing parks, we had porta potties burned like once a year or more. So this is nothing. I'm happy with this. But it happens.
Yeah. All right, anything for the good of the order?
So just the fact that we don't usually meet in the summer. Do we meet in June usually? Do you guys remember?
I think we just, June, July, August is
It's
off.
off and then we start up again in September.
Okay,
Okay.
so we meet in June, yeah? Is that
No,
what you're saying? No.
no, wrong.
Okay, so September.
Unless you guys want to try and put together a potluck, we've done that in the past before.
That was fun last year.
Oh, yeah.
So you wanna put out an email about that? or-
I can send out an email and say what week of the summer
Right.
looks good for people.
Later, yeah.
So that'd be September
That's
10th.
a-
July is booked.
So maybe August.
Yeah, August would be better.
Cause I
June
know
is
my
getting
June
booked
is
too.
booked. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it out for August and we'll see if people have dates and
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Anything else?